Greetings. I thought I'd make a video about various bits of press material that I've accumulated over the years, campaigns for films, lobby cards. What are lobby cards, if you don't know already? Well, the clue is in the name. These were displayed in the lobbies of cinemas, movie theatres, to advertise the film of that week, or the films of that week or month, and they would depict, scenes from the film. This is The Moon Spinners from 1964. Hayley Mills, Peter McHenry. Filmed on the Greek island of Crete. This was Disney's attempt at a kind of family-friendly approach to the Hitchcock formula. It stars Paula Negri makes an appearance, who was a silent film star, a star of silent films, and hadn't been in a film since the silent days. Somehow Disney managed to convince her to make a comeback, and under one condition, that she was to have a pet cheetah in the film, as opposed to the original idea of a cat. So she's seemingly quite an eccentric lady. There she is with Hayley. This was Hayley's kind of first grown-up role, shall we say. Romance with Peter McHenry. She gets a kiss in the film, which was big news at the time. Apparently, when this scene was being shot, the press and all the photographers were there, because it was such a big moment, in film, that Hayley was to be kissed. Yeah, so nice stills from the film. And as I say, these would have been in the lobby, although that sounds like an American phrase, the lobby. But yeah, of the cinema. Campaigns are sort of like programs. If you look at the size of this, I mean, I collected these over the years. I used to be an obsessive of live action Disney from the 50s and 60s. Admittedly, I must say, I don't really watch this stuff religiously now, but once upon a time, I was really into this kind of thing, and I managed to collect quite a few oddities, like these campaigns, which featured stills. So these aren't lobby cards as such. You get a still from the film and details of the plot on the back. Get that to focus. Arriving in the forest, Andrew McDewey, Patrick McGowan, comes across Laurie McGregor, Susan Hampshire, tending a wounded badger. So this film is The Three Lives of Thomasina, which I think was 1963, around that time. Nice family film. There's Matthew Garber. He and Karen Dautrice are in this film. Famously, I think a year later, were in Mary Poppins as the children. That's Three Lives of Thomasina. I've got a few of these Disney campaigns. The Monkey's Uncle, that was a kind of wacky comedy, teen comedy. The only notable thing about this film was that the Beach Boys were in it at the very start, singing the title song. Some stills there. Annette Funicello, who was a kind of teen idol of the day. her, shall we say, leading man in this film was Tommy Kirk, who I think it was very underrated. Trouble is, he wasn't given enough dramatic roles, because I mean, he was old. He was in Old Yeller, and he was in Swiss Family Robinson, and he was really talented, but he also had this comic flair, which was, you might say, used by Disney more than his dramatic ability, because these kind of comedies were very lucrative at the box office, even though they weren't as good as the Old Yellers and the Swiss Family Robinsons. Handbook of production information. Always, the director is Robert Stevenson, and it strikes me as bizarre how he went from directing Jane Eyre to The Monkey's Uncle, but there you go. Try and get that to open. Production story. You get details about the cast and the crew. The director, all about Robert Stevenson. So I've got a few of those from that kind of, shall we say, 60s period of Disney. Only live action. It's all live action. Never was a huge fan of the cartoons, I must say. Peter McHenry was given a lead role in a swashbuckler after the Moonspinners, fighting Prince of Donegal. It's a bit of a Errol Flynn type film. Darby O'Gill, loved this film, really. Special effects are fantastic. Janet Munro, Sean Connery, before he was Bond. It's not in great condition, admittedly. Yeah, that's not related, but there. This is NME, is it? Yeah, NME. Going from 1984, The Smiths, yeah. Return to Oz. Now this brings me to 1985. I have these stills, these lobby cards, actually, to return to the lobby cards discussion. These are from France, and I was very kindly sent these by a friend some years ago. Love these lobby cards. Return to Oz, based on the second and third Oz books in L. Frank Baum's series, not a sequel to the MGM musical, despite popular belief. That's not the case. It was never meant to be a sequel to the Judy Garland film. And yesterday I uploaded a video about soundtracks, and that got me thinking about David Shire's beautiful score in Return to Oz, and how it was quite unusual, because it was like Peter and the Wolf, in that every character had their own score, their own theme, shall we say. And I listened to an interview with David Shire, and he said how Jack Pumpkinhead, his theme was played on a bass clarinet. And Walter Murch, the director, although he didn't have a musical background, he spied this instrument and noticed the shape of the instrument was like Jack Pumpkinhead's body, and said, well, try and play that, he said to David Shire, the musician in the orchestra. And he said, well, it's an octave lower, it's not conventional, we wouldn't usually play that. But they did, and this bass clarinet sounded wonderful. So it just shows how a non-musician can sort of have that intuition that all musos have, you know, when you have such a strong vision for something. And it's such a tragedy that this film was a box office flop, because it is a masterpiece, it really is. The illustrations in the books just come to life on screen. I always loved the books, and this is such an imaginative, creative film. Jean Marsh, rather, as Mombi. Scary lady. Scary lady. Passed away this year, I believe. Jean Marsh. Oh, last year, I should say now. So that was a 10-11 minute video about publicity material, press, lobby cards there, campaigns, stills. Don't know if anyone's really interested, but I thought it'd be a shame not to show this kind of stuff. Oh, before I go, we've got these are quite nice stills of the actor David Tomlinson as Mr. Banks. There's Matthew Garber again as Michael Banks. And you know, the story of how I came to have these is quite an interesting one, but perhaps I'll leave that for another video. But the love bug, Herbie. So thanks for watching, I appreciate it, and stay tuned, because I've got more of this kind of thing in the pipeline, shall we say. I will continue to talk records and that kind of thing, but my main passion is film, so there'll be a lot of that on this page, film talk. So again, thank you and take care. Bye.